One of the hallmarks of the 1970s cinema was the explosion in popularity in the musical genre. Like, for instance, we had the Rocky Horror Show in 1975, followed by Saturday Night Fever in 1977, which launched John Travolta's career. In effect, became a lead-in role for the now infamous 1978 musical Grease. Many genres planted their flag in that decade. Like in the horror genre, for example, they released The Exorcist in 1973, and now some 45 years later, that remains as the pinnacle of that genre. The suspense genre saw Jaws being released in 1975, and of course the sci-fi genre released Star Wars in 1977. And that's a legacy in its own right, as you know. So no doubt the 1970s was a revolutionary time for the film industry. Today, however, I'm going to focus on another classic from the 1970s. Not his first film, but certainly one of his finest. It was a movie that brought together a couple of Italian-American New Yorkers for the second time. And I'm talking about Martin Scorsese's Taxi Driver, starring Robert De Niro. Although the pair worked together on 1973's Mean Streets, it was this collaboration that launched a legacy that would see the duo work together for many decades to come, and certainly be the foundation for Robert De Niro's legendary career. Taxi Driver is a film about ex-Vietnam veteran Travis Bickle, played by De Niro, whose mental health is slowly decaying into insanity. Bickle takes a job as a night shift taxi driver to deal with his insomnia. He lives alone in New York City, during a time where corruption and crime are at unprecedented levels. He develops a crush on a girl named Betsy, played by Sybil Shepherd, who works in an office managing a presidential candidate's campaign. He is fed up with the city's struggles, and he expressed this in a chance meeting with a presidential candidate, whom he picks up in his taxi one night. He realises that the work required to clean up the streets is seemingly impossible. He then plans a plot to assassinate the candidate. One night in his cab, he is approached by a young girl who tries to get in. She is quickly ushered away by a man who pays Bickle a tip to forget about it. He eventually learns that the young girl is a girl by the name of Iris, played by Jodie Foster, who is working on the streets as an underage prostitute. Something clicked inside when Bickle witnessed this. He is outraged and takes matters into his own hands to rid the streets of what he describes as the scum of the earth, such as pimps who hire out minors. Despite his so-called insanity, the film ends showing that Bickle does in fact have a conscience, as he helps Iris escape the streets by providing her with enough money so she can return to her family in Pennsylvania. So let's take a look at 5 fast facts from the movie. Number 5. There was controversy surrounding the casting of then 12-year-old Jodie Foster, given the role she played in the film's narrative. Throughout filming, there was a child welfare representative on set at all times to ensure the safety of the young starlet. She was also required to spend time with a therapist to prove she hadn't been psychologically scarred by the role. Foster's older sister Connie was hired as a body double for some of the film's more violent and sexy scenes to portray the role. Number 4. The director himself makes a cameo. In the scene where Bickle's passenger asks him to pull over near the apartment building and stare up at the silhouette of the woman in the window, the actor is in fact Martin Scorsese himself. The scene entails that the woman up in the apartment building is in fact the wife of Bickle's passenger, and he plans to kill her since she is in the apartment with another man. This isn't directly related to the plot, but it is a character development scene showing how nasty the city was during that time. Number 3. The film's writer is Paul Schrader, who gained inspiration for the story through a real-life experience. Schrader had been through a divorce and then another breakup with another partner. He found himself living in his car, feeling depressed and suicidal, and having no one to speak to. These experiences led him to write the script. He is quoted as saying, "Taxi Driver is exorcism through art." Number 2. Robert De Niro did the film for a salary of only $35,000, despite winning an Oscar for The Godfather Part 2 in 1974. The producers were worried that his rising fame may lead him to ask for an increased salary. Thankfully he didn't, and the film went ahead as planned. Number 1. It's one of the most iconic lines in cinema history. You talking to me? Believe it or not, this was not in the original script and was simply improvised by De Niro. De Niro has stated that he got the idea from Bruce Springsteen, whom he'd seen perform days earlier prior to filming the scene. Springsteen apparently said the now iconic line when reacting to his adoring crowd. This stuck in De Niro's mind, and he decided to use it in his dialogue. Director Martin Scorsese thought it was absolutely brilliant, and he decided to include it in the final cut of the film. You subscribing? You subscribing to me? If not, please hit the subscribe button below. Cheers. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. My name's Julian. Until next time, I am relaxed. Adios.